What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our college football week 5 preview and picks. And, I'm dealing with a hurricane here, so we're trying to get this in as quick as we can before, that happens there. But as always, we have Ty with us doing our college picks. He's owning me right now in the picks. But before we do this week's picks, make sure you hit that subscribe button, get to 200 subscribers, where we'll be doing that autographed item giveaway. But we're going to talk about last week. Obviously, Ty, you had a decent week, 9-4, not like the week before where you went 12-1. But tough games for you. Some close losses. Same for me. And of course, you came out on top there of those close games. But which one of these games stood out the most to you?
I got to go with Oklahoma. That game just really came out of nowhere. Obviously, Kansas State losing to Tulane the week before at home. Now they go on the road and beat a top 10 team. So who knows what's going on with Oklahoma? They go to TCU this week. A lot of question marks surrounding that team who look to be the front runner in the Big 12.
And I think for me, it's Wake Forest and Sam Hartman and company. They had to lead 3 different times there, tried to seal it away, but the defense couldn't get a stop. And obviously they lost in double overtime. But that Wake Forest team looks to bounce back this week, and we have that game on the schedule here. But we have our first Friday game before Saturday. A good matchup, Washington, UCLA, Baylor, the 4-0s in the Pac-12. And it should be a really good game. I'm going with Washington. Michael Penix Jr., I think, is the better quarterback over, UCLA's offense there. And I think this one's going to come down to a better quarterback because defense, you don't really know what you're going to get. And Washington's put up 39 plus in every game this year. So I got to roll with the hot hand.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that Washington win over Michigan State was more about the struggles of the Spartans than Washington. And I know there's going to be hardly anyone there because it's UCLA, but they still have a solid squad this year. Dorian Thompson-Robinson still there at quarterback. I think he's due for a big game here. And I think Washington's due to come back down to earth here. I think UCLA gets a home upset.
Then moving to Saturday, I'll let you talk about this one. You're going to the game, right?
Yeah, this will be only my second ever road Michigan game. So it's trying to stand out in the black and gold out there at Kinnick, but I'm a little nervous for this one. It's always tough to play at Kinnick Stadium. Iowa is 5-1 in their last 6 home games against top 5 teams. Just a crazy stat. And they haven't been ranked in any of those games. So that's just crazy. But I think Iowa's offense is nowhere near what it was in any of those 6 games. And I think that's the difference. Michigan, I think they only need 20 points max to win this game. And I think they'll easily get that. So they should get the win.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think this will be a good bounce back game. And I think this one is, could be a trap game. But if they come out, J.J. McCarthy slings the ball like he did last week, I don't think they can put up as many points as Maryland did last week. This Iowa team struggles on offense, but Michigan, they need to get things right on defense. Looked a little leaky last week, and if they can fix that, I think, they might even cover this spread. But moving over to another game at 12, ABC, Oklahoma looking to rebound against TCU, who's undefeated this year at 3-0. I think I'm a little hesitant to take Oklahoma, but I got to go with them. I think they have a good bounce back game and cover that spread as well.
Yeah, Oklahoma's still well coached, so I don't see them losing 2 games in a row. And I'm not super high on TCU. They have really played no one to get to 3-0. So I think Oklahoma is going to bounce back and they'll get the road win. Might not cover though.
And then another great 12 o'clock game. You got Kentucky going on the road, Ole Miss. And this one, I think, comes down to the better quarterbacks. And you got to go with Will Levis and his mayonnaise and coffee. I'm going with him. He's going to, light it up. I think the Ole Miss defense has struggled at times this year, and I think he can take advantage of that. I think he's going to have a 4-touchdown game and really take over late.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ole Miss here. I think their offense is going to score just enough. Kentucky, both of these teams have struggled on defense, but I think Kentucky's struggles have been a little bit more against some bad competition. So I think Ole Miss gets a close win, but I'm going to say Kentucky covers here.
And another 12 o'clock game. So hopefully you got some TV set up where you're good at flicking the channels quick. But you got Kansas State. Obviously, now we got to give them some credit after last week's win. And Texas Tech with their big win over Texas last week. So this is a game that I think not too many people were really thinking could be a good game in week 5 here. But I am going with K-State. I think they're going to be riding high, coming down off that cloud 9. But they are going to get the win here. And I don't think they cover. I think this is going to be a 1-possession game, less than 8 points. And I think this will come down to a late game field goal.
Yeah, normally K-State, I would say, could be due for a letdown, but obviously Texas Tech had a huge overtime win over Texas last week. So both of these teams are riding really high right now. That's what makes this an interesting game. But I think K-State's the obvious pick here. I mean, they put up 45 on Oklahoma in Norman. This offense is really clicking right now, and I think it'll keep going for them, and they'll get another win.
And then finally, moving off of those 12 o'clock games, at 2 o'clock, we got Utah, Oregon State. And, Oregon State really gave USC a run last Saturday. I don't think it's going to be the same here against Utah. This one's at home for Utah. Cameron Rising's the quarterback. He's probably top 20 quarterback in the nation. And I think he's going to play like that, and Utah gets the win.
I think this will be more of a defensive battle, and those are the type of games Utah lives for. So I think that'll play right into their hands, and their defense will be the difference. I think they win something like 24-10.
And then at 3:30, I am going to go with Arkansas. This team should be a top 10 team right now, other than that field goal hitting off the top of the upright against A&M. And, we've seen Alabama struggle in Texas on the road, a hostile environment. It's not the same Alabama team we've seen in previous years. I mean, they do have all the talent, but if they can figure it out, Alabama might cover this game. But if they don't, they play down to the other team's level. I think Arkansas can walk away with a win here, and that's what I see happening.
Yeah, I agree on one thing. Arkansas should be a top 10 team, but the reason they're not is they make way too many mistakes. We've seen it almost every game. Gave away the game against Texas A&M, fumbling on the goal line, missing a field goal, committing too many penalties. It's just been a common theme for them this year, and Alabama capitalizes on mistakes more than really any other team. So I think Alabama will take advantage of a few turnovers or big penalties from Arkansas, and they'll eventually pull away.
And then another great game, probably that will be closer at the end of the game. You got Oklahoma State and Baylor. Big storyline, obviously the Big 12 champions last year were the Baylor Bears stopping Oklahoma at the 1-yard line. And they're looking for revenge on the road. Which better way to do it? And that's what I see happening here. The mullet gets the road.
Yeah, I had Baylor for this game and changed it at the last second. And a lot of it is due to that Big 12 championship. I think, obviously, if you're Oklahoma State, you're circling this game, losing by 1 yard last year. And the quarterback play is just much better. Spencer Sanders, a veteran quarterback for Oklahoma State. I think that's going to be big for them this game, and they'll score just enough on that defense and get the win.
And then the other game on the 3:30 slate, you got Wake Forest, who could be 4-0, going into Florida State, who hasn't changed game times yet due to Hurricane Ian. But, that is possibly to change. But I am going to go with Wake Forest on the road here. I think they bounce back. They got revenge on their mind. And if they want to win the ACC, now with taking the two best teams, it's not going to matter. They need this win here and to stay up in the conference. I know it's early, but you can't have 2 losses and expect to win out and get into the championship.
Yeah, I agree. It's a must win for Wake Forest, but unfortunately for them, I don't think they're going to get it here. I think Florida State is still a really underrated team. I'm actually really high on them this year, and I think they'll compete to win the ACC potentially. So I think they'll go out and win this game. Jordan Travis looks like finally an answer for them at quarterback, one they've been looking for over 5 years at this point.
And then if you're into, I think, a defensive battle, possibly could be a defensive battle. This might be your game here at 3:30. Iowa State, Kansas, and I don't think if you would have told me week 5 that this would have been a matchup of a team with a total of 1 loss, I would say you are out of your mind. And the team that's undefeated is still Kansas. You're out of your mind. But I am going to ride the Jayhawk train here. They're going to go to 5-0, win at home, and just, keep this magical season running.
Yeah, I have no idea how this game is going to be scoring-wise. Kansas scores a ton of points this year, but they can't stop anybody. In Iowa State, it's all defense. So this could go one of 2 ways here, but I'm going to go with Iowa State. I think they'll limit the big plays from Kansas. Keep this game in the 20s, and I think that'll play right into their hands, and they'll get a road win.
And then probably a game that a lot of Michigan State fans will be watching, some of our friends will be watching here, but they're not liking these picks if you're looking at the screen. We got to go with Maryland here. Tagovailoa obviously had a great game last week against Michigan, just had a few plays, 2 plays to be exact, where he wishes he could have back. And, maybe they pull off that upset in the big house. But the very good 3-1 team, they finally look like they're hitting their stride. And State, on the other hand, is, downhill, free falling. At what cost? When can they get their bounce back win? and I don't think it's going to happen here. And they're going on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, assuming Tagovailoa is healthy because he left the Michigan game, but assuming he plays in this one, I just think him and those really good wide receivers are a huge mismatch for that Michigan State defense. And I think Maryland's going to put up a lot of points. Peyton Thorne has been really up and down this year, so I don't think he'll be able to keep up with the scoring of Maryland. So I think they'll eventually pull away, and I'm going to say Maryland covers that 7.5. I think Michigan State's really reeling right now, and I think it continues.
Then at 6, we got the University of New Hampshire taking on your Broncos. And obviously, you got to go with Western here. Struggling here, need that win, especially coming back at home. I think they get the win. Obviously, we don't have a spread or over-under just because I don't know why. They haven't posted one yet, but we're going with the Broncos here.
Yeah, you lose this game, you might as well just cancel the season, fire everybody, because it has been a rough start for my Broncos. Really rough game last week. So hopefully they can bounce back this week and get a blowout win over New Hampshire.
And starting off our late night slate, we got LSU on the road in Auburn. And I think Auburn had a bad game against Penn State. People have already wrote off this team, and they're still 3-1 here. But I'm going to go with the Tigers. Obviously, which Tiger? But I'm going to go with the blue and orange Tigers. I think Auburn has the advantage at home here. Brian Kelly, everyone's kind of wrote him off since they lost to Florida State. And, he's back here still at 3-1. He gets this road win. They're 4-1, and more than likely, they're probably going to be ranked next week.
Yeah, I think LSU does get that road win. Auburn, very, very fortunate to get out with a win last week against Missouri. 1 yard, maybe even less, away from losing. Obviously, the running back fumbled for a touchback, but I think LSU goes in there and gets the win. I think there's a lot of issues going on with Auburn right now, and I think you'll see that on Saturday.
And at 7:30, you probably have one of the best games of the week, NC State, Clemson. Obviously, we got Clemson, got to take Clemson at home. I think it's just a lock. You can't bet against Clemson at home. But this is probably going to be their toughest home test this year. NC State coming in, looking to prove, a lot of people wrong after that week 1 scare where they should have lost essentially. And I think I'm looking at this team as a 3-1 team, but they're a really good 3-1 team. But Clemson, obviously, if they can put up a performance like they did last week, fight in games, come back all the time, and prevail in OT, this Clemson team is going to be tough to stop, but they just have to, get stops on defense if they want to be an elite team.
Yeah, this is a game to keep an eye on. So the hurricane that Zach was talking about, you might be getting part of it for this game. You saw that, I think it was Notre Dame and NC State like 5 years ago, just an absolute monsoon. They're saying this game could be similar to that. So that's why that over-under is so low. And if that happens, I think it really benefits Clemson. If these teams are just playing a game of 1940s football, running at each other, I think that's all in favor of Clemson. So assuming that happens, take Clemson to cover. Even if it doesn't, I think this game is a huge advantage for Clemson. So either way, they're getting the win.
And that's going to be it for the video today. We'll be trying to put out some more content just depending on how this hurricane happens, if I have Wi-Fi or not. But once again, hit that subscribe button, get us 200 subscribers. But until next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.